All right, welcome to the Get Hoptimized podcast. My name is Chris. I am your host, and today is going to be a fun day. If you are running any kind of tastings or product demos for your beverage brand, or you're thinking about doing it, today's conversation is going to be great for you. We're going to dive into how to create successful brand experiences, setting them up, staffing, measuring results, and all that stuff. Joining us to talk about this today are Al and Heather from Polaris Brand Promotions. They specialize in nationwide promotional staffing and experiential marketing, supporting everything from in store tastings all the way up to large scale music festivals. They've got a ton of great experience, and I'm excited to pick their brains. Heather, Al, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Stoked to talk to you guys, man. And thank you guys for making the time to do this. I know you got tons of experience. We got tons of things to uncover here today, but maybe let's start with a little bit of background on who you guys are and where how you got to this point, why what attracted you to experimental marketing and that sort of stuff, and then we'll take it from there. Al, do you want to kick us off?
Okay. Name's Al Schuster. I'm the president, owner, and founder of Polaris Brand Promotions. Started the agency nearly a decade ago. Was working with another agency, kind of doing this type of work, and I kind of realized, like, not only can I do this myself, I can, do it profitably, but I think I can really expand the reach nationwide and really turn this into a high quality agency. So as you mentioned a lot in the beginning, we are nationwide promotional staffing, experiential marketing. We've worked with a lot of alcoholic and non-alcoholic brands. We've also done some types of special event staffing and street teams and trade show booth staffing, things like that. So wherever you need us to create unforgettable experiences for your brand, we'll be there.
I love it. Heather, what about you? How'd you get into this stuff?
So, with having brands and sticking up for them and talking about them, it's something I've always been really inspired by the messaging ever since I was little. So, I started in the graphic design world and minored in marketing in college and started being a brand ambassador in college as well. And I realized quickly that the events could range everywhere. My first event was on a golf course, all the way to the in-store demos and being able to engage with the consumers directly, talk to them. They asked me questions and I answered them was really fun for me. So I joined Al after I was a brand ambassador for Polaris Brand Promotions, along with Steph, our VP of Operations. And we got started trying to tell our message and what we do to more people.
Excellent. I'm pretty familiar with this kind of stuff. Being in Las Vegas, we have these kind of activations all the time. I had multiple friends that worked for brands, worked for especially liquor brands here in town, but the clubs. I was a promoter here, and doing these kind of on-site activations. I'm very familiar with what this kind of looks like. But for like somebody who doesn't really know what experiential marketing means, what does that even mean, and why is that like such a critical tactic for brands?
This is
Well,
definitely for
experiential
you.
Yeah, I was gonna say experiential marketing goes beyond just what you see because it says it in the name, you experience it as well. So you get to be with the product or the brand, hands-on, trying it if it's something that you sample, experimenting with it, holding it, smelling, tasting, if it's something that you are eating or drinking. And then there's usually somebody right there who is a representative for the brand who can answer your questions on the spot. There is a one-on-one interaction that you miss when it's just, an ad or you're scrolling through your phone and you see something pop up that you can easily ignore when there's a person who is standing in front of a wide variety of different products who can answer your questions, who can walk you through maybe what order they want you to try things in. It becomes an experience. And in this world, experiences are becoming a little bit more rare. It gives you a chance, it gives your audience a chance to slow down, stop what they're doing. If they're in a grocery store, they can approach and have a real conversation with a real person about your brand. And those representatives, us being able to, our country, our agency is nationwide. So we can have those experiences in every single state, if you would like, having consistent messaging, and you're getting those one-on-one interactions on a large scale when you run a campaign.
Excellent. Al, do you have anything to add to that?
No, Heather pretty much hit the nail on the head. I think one other thing to note is, from the non-consumer standpoint of this industry, there's a lot that goes into it in terms of logistics and planning. A lot of times the consumers never see, and the clients, whether they be suppliers, wholesalers, distributors, brokers, or whatnot, maybe getting into this for the first time don't realize. And that's the one thing our agency really prides herself upon is working through the logistics, making sure that the demo supplies and product get where they need to go, make sure that the brand ambassador staff, they're not only educated on the brand, but what the expectations are. And really working closely with our clients as well as our retail partners in these activations to make sure things go as smoothly as possible. And we can add a lot of value, not only the short term of the immediate sales that occur during the demo event, but also, the entire goal of this is to get repeat customers. So even if you don't generate a lot of sales during the event itself, if you can pick up a few new consumers and become, brand loyalists and brand advocates, and they start shopping every time they pick up your product over and over again, that one unit that's purchased during the demo can result in potentially thousands of dollars over lifetime sales, including when they share it with their friends and family or guests or whatnot. And also, one of the unique things to share, one of the little secrets that we love telling to our clients is, especially if they're a small up and coming brand, is, you can utilize our services to help get yourself into stores. And what I mean by that is if a sales rep is talking to a retail store owner, like a little independent store, and they say, okay, if you take in 5 cases of product, we'll give you 2 sampling events included for free to help support that brand getting established in the store. Now, it's offering it for free, obviously, to the store, but they would, pay us and we would supply the staff and whatnot. But it's definitely a great way to get the foot in the door, especially for new brands.
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting like tangent there is, using the experience, the demo or the tasting as kind of a carrot to dangle and say, hey, look, you pick up our product, we're going to do some of these tastings with you and we're going to have an experience in your store. And they want that, I imagine, because it's like, yeah, their customers are going to have a good time. They're going to make sure they come back to my liquor store, my grocery store, or whatever. Of course, they want that. At the same time, you're helping move your product in that environment. So it's kind of like I said, a carrot, but it's, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours kind of scenario that maybe differentiates you from another supplier or manufacturer of the product. Very cool application there. But I also want to ask about what makes these kind of demos or these experiences successful? How do we quantify that and say, all right, was this a successful event? Or how do we look at those things to, make sure that we're successful? What goes into making it successful versus just doing it to do it, and having a blah kind of sampling, right? What makes it special? What makes it work?
I would have to say, straight up, is moving product. Our brand ambassador shows up on time. They engage with consumers, their table's set up properly. All these help contribute to the overall goal of getting units sold during the demo event itself. Having that positive consumer interaction is critical as well. But really the main driver, I would say from a client standpoint is, okay, how many units did you sell? Because obviously if we're selling units, then our brand ambassador is engaging with the consumer, especially if it's a new brand that no one knows, that they're not just going to walk up, oh yeah, I love your brand, let me, buy one while I'm here. But I'd have to say, the sales would number is kind of the generic overall driver. But in terms of overall success, having that really positive brand experience with a number of consumers, whether they buy or not, is definitely a positive. It drives me nuts because I still do demos myself, as does Heather and the rest of our corporate team. And, they'll take a picture of it. And I'm like, man, I wish you just buy a unit now, you remember it better, you get to try it more at home and share it. But my thought is, okay, they at least still liked it enough to want to take that picture so they could remember it for next time. So again, it's the sales is kind of the most critical thing as a determinant of success, in terms of a dollar and cents perspective, but also having that positive brand interaction that leads to more future sales is critical as well.
Yeah. And that's measurable, right? So is that something you guys as the marketing, person, are you getting that data back and saying, yeah, this is how many units moved. This is what we were able to bring to the table. You guys are going that deep with the data on your end.
Yeah, our brand
Yeah.
ambassadors complete recap reports, and they contain metrics such as how many consumers did they interact with, how many samples were given, how many units were sold, down to the SKU level, along with pictures, demographical information, and other things like that that we present as standard part of our recap process for our clients.
Excellent. That's badass. I would imagine if I'm going to invest in something like this, I'm like, well, I want to make sure you're measuring these things and getting a return on that. You do up a good point though about like, okay, part of it is the sale, right? But there's also this kind of brand story element of it and the experience of it. And maybe this is a good question for you, Heather. Is like, I have two questions on my mind about this.
Okay.
Is one, if you're going to push the sale, how do you do this in a way that's not like scummy, and you're like turning people off from it because you're like, dude, I'm not going to buy it right now. Quit hounding me. I've had those experiences in the liquor store. So let me ask you that question: is like, what is there an art to this, sell process?
Yeah, so we know exactly what you're talking about when we are working with our brand ambassadors. We're interviewing them first to educate and then training them to disseminate brand information as well. So usually while they're pouring, they're not quiet. They're saying a brand fact. They're explaining the history of the company. They're giving you more value than just what you would read on the bottle. And so sometimes this leads to the purchase, or it leads to a sort of like, you don't want to miss out, or like, are you bringing something to the party? You can tell everybody about this as well, if it's a purchase in store. And I know we're talking a lot about in-store demos, but we also do festivals and like the sports events and those music festivals as well. So with those recap reporting, if it's not a sale, we will say how many samples are given out as well. And then maybe encouraging them to follow on social media. Maybe they're entering a sweepstakes. Maybe they're playing a game and getting some swag. So then and this leads back into your question, if they are also providing something on the table that they can take with them, that's good as well. But we don't want to be pushy too much. We want it to be a positive experience overall. Of course, we want the sale, but we want them to leave thinking like, wow, I talked to this person from this company, because usually they think that our brand ambassadors are from the company because we are training them to represent the company as if they are part of the company. And so we want to always leave a positive experience behind and make sure that they learn something. So whatever they're taking from it, and then whatever they're giving back to the client, what we provide back to the client in forms of the recap reporting does include the sale, does include how many samples. It also includes a space for what did the consumer say? Did they comment
Mm.
on the taste? What did they think about the packaging? Why did they make the purchase, or maybe why didn't they? How many people said they would do it later? Was it a price point thing? Should we be running a sale? And then internally, our agency has meetings with the client to work on what works and what isn't working. What do you want to change? Do you want to try to hit these stores instead? Maybe let's have a demo more on weekends, or let's aim for weekdays where the store says it's really busy. So we are fluid and flexible in that as well, making sure that the consumers are happy trying the sampling, and that our brand ambassadors are doing their job, and that the program is running smoothly and the client is happy, because sales and brand awareness go hand in hand. They're both, what the goal is at the end of the day.
And you kind of answered the other question I have with that is like,
I did.
like if sales are a key metric, right? The other objective of this stuff is, all right, we want to increase brand awareness and like brand engagement and brand adoption with this kind of activity. How do we even measure that stuff? And the things you pointed out there is like, well, did they taste it? What was their feedback? What were the words that they used? Did they take photos? What was the engagement like? And then keeping track of that information, because that's valuable to take and say, look, here's the feedback we're getting. Maybe you are considering a package change, or you just did have a packaging change or a flavor difference. And I'm thinking to the, times I've sampled stuff in the stores and they're like, well, which flavor did you like best? It's like, well, I didn't think about it, but they're probably giving that feedback back to the brand. Well, hopefully they are giving it back to the brand. And you guys are making sure you're covering those boxes, which is quite interesting and cool. I would want to know that as a brand, right? The other thing I think of this, and sometimes we talk to our clients about this, is saying, okay, you're out there doing some kind of activation. Um, think beyond just like, especially if it's one where it's at a festival or something like that, where you're not selling the product in general. There is no sale point. How can you drive real action to the brand in terms of contacts acquired, maybe social media following? You mentioned contests and stuff like that. What are you seeing there? I mean, does this stuff work, getting people to sign up for stuff? How effective is it? What are some tactics that maybe you've seen work or not work down this road? What's your opinions and thoughts on that?
I'll jump in first, Al, and then I'll pass it to you. Mostly because I just got back from a trade show where I realized that a lot of it is, set in place by the environment. So it could be a sports venue, it could be a trade show, but how are you actually collecting that information? Of course, you're going to be giving out the samples, but when it comes to gathering either follows, likes, shares, posts, those types of things are also so valuable because of brand awareness. And it's usually you're able to do it by being creative with your setup, by potentially having swag that they can take home and share. Maybe if there is an option to make a purchase, they are getting something along with it, like a kit. So we try to build that experience. And when we say unforgettable experiences, that's what we're keeping in mind as well. That people, grown adults will get excited about little games at trade shows. It will happen. So knowing your target audience and thinking, okay, how am I going to captivate on the fact that these people are out of their office, they are with their coworkers in a friendship type way. How are we going to make sure that we also get their contact information? And we have brand ambassadors who will make sure, divide and conquer that type of stuff. So you're going to handle sampling, you're going to make sure they scan the QR code, different things like that.
So making sure they engage with those pieces of it. Al, did
Yeah.
you want to add anything to this too?
I mean, overall, we work with our clients to determine, what are their goals and how do we help achieve them? Are they looking to raise brand awareness? Are they looking to, collect consumer data? Are they looking to, maybe through a coupon or something, encourage sales either through e-commerce or brick and mortar retail? So it's all about really not just, setting up in a place where, you know, they can't purchase and we're just raising brand awareness and just giving away any old item of value that happens to be branded. It's really about targeting the messaging, whether it be through the display setup, the giveaway items, the call to action, what they're getting for signing up or for participating in the activation. So that's where our value comes in, not just as a staffing agency, which is predominantly and primarily what we do, but also acting kind of as a consultant, especially to new brands where, like, okay, for instance, in a trade show environment, they're like, okay, they'll come to us and say, okay, look, we have a 10-foot by 10-foot footprint in this trade show. We know we need brand ambassadors. We know we need to scan badges, but like, what's really going to pull us in, like what, or pull the attendees in? What's going to get their attention, come over, voluntarily give their information, provide feedback, and help them to determine what combines both cost effectiveness also with the most value and return for that investment.
You guys are making me curious about examples of this stuff. I'm sure you've done all kinds of things out there. Do you have any fun examples that come to mind of like some really cool activations that folks did?
I know mine. Heather, you go first.
Okay, so one that I always go to is the fact that we have worked not just behind a table, but also on a food truck. And so we might hit up different areas of the city where it's sort of that, where are we going to pop up? It's shared on social media only, or it's shared with the employees of a store that we're popped up out in front of. And then we're handing out samples from the food truck. Our brand ambassadors are both on the food truck helping with the food service side and also in front of the truck at a table handing out different swag. So in this case, it was t-shirts and hats and encouraging people to take photos in front of the food truck that was wrapped and having a whole experience in that is really fun, especially when you're going to different parts of the city and you're seeing the wide range of people who are interested in your product.
This was just like kind of like a pop-up food truck. You were rolling around and be like, "Oh, we're here now," a random
Yeah.
pop-up food truck. That's kind of cool. And people go nuts for this stuff sometimes. It's like, "Oh, I gotta go find the thing," or
Oh,
whatever it
yeah.
was, which is kind of fun. Great example. Al, what do you got in the hopper?
We work with company Albertsons nationwide grocery store chain. And outside of all the Baltimore Ravens home games, Safeway, which is the chain that's within the area, we'll set up like a 10-foot by 20-foot tent footprint. And we'll have a couple of games of chance, like Spin Wheel or Plinko, and we'll have all the branded merch. We'll also have some, discount like coupons for Safeway to drive that brick and mortar traffic in, as well as like they have one of those life size, players with the head cut off so you can stand behind it, and like a giant Jenga and stuff for for fan interaction, for kid interaction, things like that. And it's great because we, at any given time can have, maybe 30 to 40 people deep in the line trying to get the branded merch. And especially it's fun. Seeing the kids' faces when they win something. A few of the fans are all excited, like, oh, I really want to win this. I hope I land on that. And we do this every year for the Baltimore Ravens home games, and it's great. It's fun, and it really encompasses the raising brand awareness part of what we do, creating those fun experiences. And we've had the same fans come to our booth every single time that there's a home game, and we get to recognize a few of them because they love the experience, and that's what we do.
Yeah. Such a cool one. I mean, everybody loves the NFL stuff. Anytime you get a chance to roll out some branded merch, like if I'm a big Broncos fan, so if somebody's out here doing Broncos stuff, I'm like, I don't even care what it is. I want it. It's got
Yeah.
Broncos stuff on it. So I imagine there's some draw to that. It's got to be fun to do the activations there and see the kids playing around and stuff like that too. That's awesome. Um, Another thing I think of with this is like people are so important. And you alluded to this earlier, Heather, as well, is what you guys go through to staff and the people you train and the people you hire. I wonder if we can unpack that a little bit more. There's probably some art and science to this. I'm not asking you to give away the secret recipe here, but I'm curious, like, what do you guys look for staffing here? Is it different from, just, jumping on, I don't know, Indeed or something like that and getting randos to come man the booth? It's more than that. And there's a better way to do it. Fill us in. What goes into staffing for these kind of experiential pop-ups or activations?
Well, one of the huge value added services that we add is that we will vet all of our brand ambassadors for you. So we will find them. Usually, I mean, we already have a team that works with us. So we have a roster of over 8,000 brand ambassadors that we work with nationwide. And often we'll use repeat brand ambassadors because we know they are loyal and responsible and can also engage professionally and friendly. So when we ever start to interview a new brand ambassador or a new person who wants to work with us, the first question is, tell us about yourself. And they need to sell themselves to us. And then we know that they can sell to other people as well and walk around and be able to engage with any person who is walking by. So we want the energy. We want the people who are upbeat, optimistic, who can go and engage with no matter who is walking by, whether it's a kid, at an activation like Al just mentioned, or it's somebody who is stuck in their ways and only wants to buy wine, but we're like, come on, try this new product. Like, you never know if you might like it. And we're looking for the people who can make the sell while remaining professional about it. And then, of course, we train them as well. So that's another thing. We kind of take the heavy lifting of the back end to be like, okay, company, client, please share these top, bullet points of what you want our brand ambassadors to share. A PDF of the brand information, maybe one PDF per flavor if you have a range or a portfolio. We'll have the brand ambassador do the training. You can be involved with the training if you want. We understand small companies, like you're like, okay, our company has been the only one to ever represent. We're going to pass it off, but Can we be involved? Of course you can be involved. You can take a video of you explaining the product that is mandatory for our brand ambassador and our team to watch. You can also sit down like we are right now and meet the team that is going to be working for you. And we like to keep it open and a little customizable. But one more thing about our brand ambassadors is that if you have a need, a specific need, we do our best to also find that for you. So say you would like somebody who's bilingual or somebody who has maybe previously done, beverage tastings before. You want to make sure, okay, we just want to know that they know what they're doing. Of course, we will put your mind at ease.
Excellent. Excellent. Al, do you want to add to anything on that? Heather did a great job. I don't know if you can.
Yeah. No, it's just, we really just pride ourselves on sending out the best quality talent that we can, especially when it comes to, it's not just experience, but it's also enthusiasm and personality are kind of the biggest things. And we've had a lot of talk with clients who are like, oh, do you have any like tequila experts on your roster? Or do you have any beer experts on your roster? And the best brand ambassadors, unless it's something technical like physics or rocket science or something like that, that they're trying to promote, when it comes down to, actually representing the brand, our brand ambassadors, the best ones, they can get to know any brand and represent it. We give them, maybe like a one-page sell sheet or a small brand guide, and they can talk to, the key selling points about the brand, but they need to be engaging. They need to have enthusiasm, as well as they need to be on time, follow instructions, set everything up properly. So really, facts and information are trainable, but we really do look for like the intangibles, like the personality, the drive, the enthusiasm, things like that, that really help make our team great.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be a people person, and feel approachable and have fun. And like, it's such an important aspect because this is the interaction with the brand, and you want to associate a good time, a good feeling, and a great experience with that brand. And like, I see what you're saying, Al, is like you could be the most knowledgeable beer nerd on the planet, but are you like cool to hang around? No offense,
Mhm,
but like, are
mhm.
you a party person and an approachable person, or you're not that person? And as a brand, you kind of got to make those decisions of like, hey, this is somebody who's going to welcome my brand into people's homes, really. And that's important. The other thing I think of, and I have had experience with this because we work with brands that are doing these kind of on-site activations, and we're like, yeah, we want to share that stuff on social media, take photos out there, and let's show what you guys are doing, take some cool videos. And a lot of times the photos and videos we get back are not good. And it's like, oh, we can't thank you for going through the effort of doing it, but it's like fuzzy. You must have been eating a burger before you took the photo because this camera lens is all greasy or something. Marketing stuff has to be part of the conversation here, I imagine, with you guys. Is that
Mhm.
part of the vetting process or the coaching process and being able to take photos and do that sort of stuff?
Yeah, not necessarily. I'm going to talk about the technical aspects first because I know Heather really handles, the processing of these pictures and how we use them. From a technical standpoint, we collect pictures on site to show that our brand ambassadors were there. If there are pictures of with consumers, holding the product or holding their sample, to show that our brand ambassadors were engaging with the consumers. Beyond that, all of our brand ambassadors sign like audio video releases to use their pictures. So we do have license to do that. We don't do that with the customers because we're not going to ask them, hey, well, I just took a really great picture of you. Can you sign this release form so we can share it all over the internet? But from a technical standpoint, that's what we do with the recap pictures. Really, it's for our client to use, for them to see how the event went on site because they can't physically be there most of the time.
Yeah.
Um, and beyond that, we incorporate those pictures with our clients' permission, of course, using their images and their logos and whatnot, in our own media to promote our own agency. And that's kind of where Heather comes in.
Yes, I was going to very much identify with the photos that we receive. Sometimes I just have to laugh and be like, okay, thank you. I'm glad you were there and you checked in on time, GPS location. Like, we will also ask them sometimes, to take a selfie of themselves in front of the store. We do a lot of little checks with photos to make sure that our brand ambassadors are there. And that goes into the recap reporting as well. But there are times when a client will be like, we really want the setup to look like this. Like all of the merch needs to be shown on the tabletop And in those cases, we make a special effort to tell the brand ambassador, like, please take the photo, step back, make sure the whole table top is shown, maybe take a photo of the table itself. And if we have time during the actual activation, which is one other cool thing just about our agency, is we have on-call support for every single event. So there is somebody paying attention, a field manager who is watching the photos as they come in and, making sure everything is running okay. And that goes beyond the photos. That goes for like making sure there's enough inventory, making sure the manager is all good with everything. But we can also be like, can you please take one more? But at the end of the day, it is the brand ambassador who is like quickly taking the photo, and we do our best with what we get. There's oftentimes when I go in and I maybe clean it up a little bit and give that as an example. Maybe the tabletop is a little wrinkly, I'll fix it. And that's another thing that we will provide. But for the most part, we aim to make sure that like it ran, the demo happens, we were there, maybe check in with the manager, maybe the manager encourage the manager to share it on their social media, little things like that.
I'm picking up a few things. What you're saying, both of you guys are saying, is that it's important for the brand to be involved in this process and specify what they want and what they want things to look like, if that is very important to them. And also that the attention to detail here is something that you can't overlook. And before you just go hire just anybody to do this stuff for you, these details are going to matter. And I see it happen because I see these photos and I see the content. I'm like, yeah, like it'd be great to use that photo, but the table's all messed up. If someone's Starbucks is on the table or something, it's like, can we clean this up, please? Important to call that out for you guys. Now, before we kind of get towards the end of this, and I very much do appreciate your time, both of you, and the insights you guys have had here. I know this will be valuable for folks. I'm curious what you think the future looks like for experiential marketing, especially now with so much happening digitally, and especially as we're a marketing agency that does a lot of digital stuff. And I'll be one of the first people to tell you, like, I don't think digital is the only way to go. I never tell my clients only do digital ads. It's the only way, because there's all sorts of great stuff out there. But considering our tendency to be sucked into our phones and TV screens and stuff like that, what does experiential look like in the future? Is this going to be more so out there? Do you think it's more important? How does it change? What do you guys think the future holds for you and for this kind of thing?
Well, I will say that the personal interaction can never be replaced by digital. The digital and the in-person interaction that experiential marketing has is so valuable, and they can go hand in hand. Absolutely. I think that the future is going to hold more of people wanting to actually experience, maybe even going back to some of the things that we used in the past, but especially with the resurgence of, or the insurgence of digital marketing, scrolling, doom scrolling, and AI and all of these things where you can't fully even tell what's real. When you're out and about at a music festival, or even if you're, tailgating and suddenly there's a street team around, that's real. And the product that you're holding in your hand is real. And so that can never be discounted. It can definitely be used alongside. We can have the ability to encourage the interaction with the digital side of marketing to be like, please follow, please, post your own and tag us and incorporate that as well. And that, of course, gives the feedback directly from the consumer. Again, you can, look at your analytics, but having the actual energy of a real person out there or a team of real people is always going to make you stand out. People will want to go out of their way to go over to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'd have to say, Tyler's point, like, there's nothing that's going to be able to replace a real experience. You can obviously talk, hear from an influencer about the brand that they like, but, is it a sponsored post? Are they getting, so you're not really getting to experience the brand before you go out and decide to make your purchasing decision. And again, with some of the e-commerce platforms, it's like what you see is, what they want you to see in the search results. You may not be getting the top quality or the most value. So in my opinion, in terms of the future of experiential, what I'm definitely going to see is more technological and technology components added to it, with hopefully without replacing the core concept of the in-person human engagement. What I mean by that is, more augmented reality, more, continued use of QR codes. As we have new types of technology that are used for social media, incorporating them into the consumer engagement experience.
Yeah. I was curious what you thought about the augmented reality stuff. And I was just thinking, I saw some news. I think Burger King did this ad where they like caught, if you looked at ads through your phone, McDonald's ads, like they caught on fire and stuff like that. And the use of your phone or your smart glasses and these things as they evolve, I think is really exciting from the experiential side. And to your point, Heather, as well, like you're totally right. The tangible experience is so fun. I remember I was at a music festival years ago called where were we? I think it was Tomorrow World. When it was in the United States. The Tomorrowland is in it's in Europe. I think it's in Belgium or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but they had an offshoot in the United States, and there was like this two-decker Bacardi setup, and like they were handing out mojitos for free. You just had to jump on it. We were on the top deck of this thing and had an excellent time. And forever, I'm going to think about Bacardi in that environment and that experience. And like you could never have that with an ad or whatever. It's like that was cool for us to be there and have that experience. And I think that's where there's value in this type of marketing too, and what you guys provide. So tell us about that. So if somebody's listening to this and saying, all right, I'm in, I get it. Experience sounds cool. How do I learn more? What does Polaris do for me as a business? Let's walk into that. So what does Polaris do? And what's the best way to kind of get in touch with you guys and learn more about this stuff?
Okay, so in terms of what we do, we primarily engage in the staffing end of promotional marketing. However, we can act as a full service experiential provider, helping you out with, fabricated booths or like the double decker bus you mentioned, through creating signage and, branded attire and all of that through a lot of our strategic partners. So what we always tell our clients, whatever your need is in the experiential and the promotional marketing spaces, give us a call. Even if we can't help you directly, our partners can help you as well. So we really want to be a full service solution to our clients. As for getting in touch with us, best way is to reach out through one of the forums on our website at polarisbrandpromotions.com.
Excellent. Heather, do you want to add anything to that? Al did a great job. I don't know if you can follow that up. It seems pretty
Yes, he
encompassing.
did. He included everything that I would say. I would just add that, our team cares so much about the value that we bring. So even if you're hesitant or you just have questions, we're willing to sit down with you and talk through it, no strings attached. We just want to help brands grow. And, when the time comes and, you're like, first, I just want to have a little meeting, but then in a year, you're like, all right, let's get started. We're here for you then. We're here for you now.
Yeah. Thank you for adding that. And I can tell you both are very authentic folks. I mean, you've given us a lot of killer insights for folks that are maybe in this world or they're trying to think about doing it. And from everything I can tell with your guys' website and talking to you guys and seeing you guys online, it definitely looks like you guys are legit. You've done some excellent things. I encourage anybody listening or watching, go check out the site and just see some of the examples of what Polaris has done, and you'll start to draw the lines between the things that we've been talking about today. We'll also put website links in the show notes. So if you're watching this, just look down below the video, or if you're listening to this, jump into the podcast, open up that read more section, and you'll see some cool information about Polaris there. For now, I'll let you guys get back to your very busy day and into the weekend and all that. Thank you very much for your time and your insights. This has been great.
Thank you so much
Very
for
much.
having us, Chris.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.